Hey, Summoners! Welcome back to another episode of Monday Night Customs. I'm your host, your boy Dwayne, and we've got Sam here as well. How you doing, Sam?
Good, Dwayne. So I just came off a long weekend at a music festival, so I'm a little worried about how well the analysis is going to be, and just in general, I don't think I'd want to pick myself for customs tonight. So we'll see how it goes.
Sweet, yeah. If you're hungover enough, then maybe I'll have a chance to win a game or two tonight.
I'm expecting a full red carpet for me.
Sweet. Well, with that out of the way, let's kick off game one and check out this first team comps that we have for our first clip from last week. All right. So we've got some interesting champs here. What do you think of these comps, Sam?
Yeah. So looking at it, blue team, a very unique comp. They've got the LeBlanc, which is not too commonly picked. And then outside of Neil, no one really plays Thresh here. But looking at red team, they've got just two traditional carries, and Anivia, kind of utility support carry, and then the Twitch, just your traditional AD carry. But if I take a step back, I think what's going to be challenging for red team is that Twitch is going to have a hard time getting DPS off against the characters of blue team. So really up to red team to see how well they can peel for their Twitch for these fights. So off these comps, it seems pretty balanced. It really comes down to execution. What do you think, Dwayne?
Oh, absolutely. And the execution couldn't be more different. It looks like blue team has two hyper carries in the back line and then some really big chonkers in the front line. They want to have a very close AoE fight where they're protecting their back line and getting a lot of damage off on the entire blue team with their hack line carries. Meanwhile, blue team is all over the place. They have three carries and they're looking for a little bit more chaos. They want their LeBlanc to get in and get out and pop somebody in the back line. And if she's able to do that, and red team is left with only one carry, it's going to be bad news bears for them. So if we have some chaotic fights, blue team's going to take it. But if red team can keep it under control, then they'll absolutely win the game. But let's see how that plays out in our first clip. All right, so right off the bat, it looks like we have about one item on each champion. And we'll see how that plays out. All right, Thresh is looking for hooks. It's a good start. What a great wall from Anivia. And oh my gosh, LeBlanc gets in, gets a huge amount of damage on Anivia, but gets ping-ponged back into the tower. What a great headbutt by Haley on the Alistar. And oh my gosh, Amumu died right at the beginning as well, so he was completely separated from his team. And this fight is immediately chaos. Oh my gosh. It's still close though, but it looks like blue team's taking it. Nobody could touch those two backline carries on the blue team. Those AD carries got off so much damage. That went by really quickly, so let's take a step back. What do you think happened here, Sam?
Yeah, so off the bat, what looks to be a good engage for red team, honestly, ends up turning against their head. So there's the initial LeBlanc pick, which is pretty nice. But looking at Mumu here, he's exiled from the team. No one's able to follow up on that. So Set soaking up a lot of damage from Anivia and Twitch, and there comes a really big Senna ulti for a double kill. If you looked at the start of the fight, Mumu actually got Senna to about 30-40% HP, but she's just literally able to regen the rest just because red team has no one to touch her. So we're seeing here the range of blue team coming into play.
Wow, yeah, and I gotta say, Amumu went really deep there. I think his plan this game has got to be stay near his team, set up areas where his backline can do damage. It's interesting that he got on center there, but if his team isn't in range to back him up, that engage is worthless.
Yeah, no, definitely a good point. And then I don't want to let this go under the radar, but Kalen's staying true to his name, Two Toxin, stealing the pentakill from Quinn. I honestly think that was the best part of this clip.
Honestly, ×9 insta report.
That's an instant report.
All right, let's move on to our next clip. So blue team, it looks like the game's actually pretty close right now. But red team is already getting picks over here. And oh my gosh, Anivia's forced to flash away by the set engage. What a great set alt. And as you can see, this fight actually started off a 4v5. Blue team has a person advantage, but people are going down left and right. Twitch dies right at the beginning of the fight, so now it's a 5v3, but then people on blue team go down as well. And now we're left with a 3v3 as the Amumu comes back into the fight. Thresh gets a hook, but he's caught behind the wall in an Amumu. And Amumu's just grabbing bandages and taking everybody out one at a time. Wow. That was great coordination on the side of red team there. And once again, we had a really chaotic fight, but this time red team ended up on top. How did that happen?
Yeah, so off the bat, it's actually a 4v5 for red team. Really, I think what we're seeing here is Twitch is able to get some solid DPS off this fight. Got a good number of autos off before he finally died. And then from that point, really, blue team is going to have a hard time pushing into the Anivia. And then with the Amumu respawning, it's just a matter of, power difference at this point. So, I don't think this fight is representative of how blue team is going to want to fight. But certainly, a good fight by red team at the end of the day.
Yeah, and what an extreme example of how two different team comps want to play out their win conditions. In this fight, it is indeed a 4v5 in favor of the blue team. Twitch gets picked right at the beginning. You'd think the blue team is going to smash this fight, but because Twitch is able to get out so much damage just before he dies, and because Anivia is able to get out so much damage across the fight, they're able to fight in close quarters here. They actually end up on top, even with all of these things working against them right at the beginning. So really impressed with blue team's ability to team fight there, and Amumu's able to come in at the end and clean up.
Looks like the entry is just the bait, dude. Initiate equals lose fight.
Absolutely, yeah. If Amumu started that fight like he started the first one, I think red team would have been in a lot of trouble. Let's move on to the next clip and see how this game ends. All right, so it looks like the game is still very close, and Amumu jumps in right at the beginning, gets knocked back by Set. But watch the carries on the red team. They're unable to do anything. They're completely zoned out. Watch Xylo goes in on LeBlanc and almost chunks Twitch down. Twitch has to flash away, and now he's left with no summoners except for his Ghost, which is honestly kind of useless this game in my opinion. It's now 4v5 in the favor of blue team. Amumu gets picked off right at the beginning. Twitch has no flash. It's looking pretty dire for them. Thresh with the flash hook right at the beginning gets Anivia, and she has to flash away as well. But now, oh my gosh, it looks like LeBlanc's jumping on the backline again and finally finishes what she started on Iron. That is absolutely brutal. What a great flash hook, by the way, by Thresh. And this game is looking pretty over. This is going to play out a little slowly. Another hook from Thresh to seal the deal. Oh, wow. That is honestly really impressive. Dropalekis Brox's Thresh hooks lately have been absolutely game-changing. And that looks like it's it. What do you think played out here exactly, Sam?
Yeah, so I think the MVP of this fight, if we go back, is actually LeBlanc. So this first fight, this fight is in 3 segments basically. So the Mumu ended up not being on an ideal target. Blue team just capitalizes on that. But remember earlier we burned the Twitch flash, and watch Xylo here at the top of your screen. Full combo on a Twitch, can't do anything. Not to mention the initiate by Neil, nice flash hook. And from here, 3v5, again, Xylo comes out after his ulti cooldown's back. He goes on the Anivia and gets that pick. And so from there, red team just has no DPS. So double wombo combo of the Neil hook into the Xylo pick on the kind of carry target. And from this point, it's 2 tanks. They're not going to do anything. GG, blue team, well played.
Wow, and what a dive by LeBlanc there. Honestly, if you don't have something to stop Xylo on his LeBlanc, and even if you do, because they got some counter picks this game, he's pretty scary on the champ. Do you have any takeaways for this game, Sam?
I think blue team ended up playing that well. I think what we're seeing here is there's a couple of different AD carry picks that I think are generally top of the leaderboard for ARAM. I think Jinx, Caitlyn are 2 very strong picks just because of their range, and someone like Twitch is going to suffer from that low range. I'd put him in the same category as Vayne, where he can have good comps, but if he doesn't have the team comp built around them, it's going to be a difficult win con for them.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, Amumu had some really great ults there, but he was not on the same page as the rest of his team. He needed to fight closer with his team, and their team, the red team, needed a better game plan to fight together that game instead of splitting off and diving. If they could have played that a little bit closer, I think they would have come out on top. But that's it for game 1. Let's move on to game 2 and check out the comps for that one. All right, how do we feel about these comps, Sam?
So looking at red team's comp, they've got very disorganized comp. So they've got a couple of divers, Singed, Fizz, and Scion, all divers, as well as the Samira, and then the Morgana is kind of a very versatile character. So don't really know what to make of blue team's comp, but red team has got a very traditional, straightforward front to back comp. 2 tanks, 2 80 carries, and then a hyper carry Victor. Off the bat, I'm liking red team's comp in terms of some simplicity as well as just overall character strength here.
Wow, yeah, I gotta agree with you, and I gotta say, I'm really liking the double AD carry thing going on today. We had 2 double AD carries, both in last game and this game on the blue team. I think it's very powerful. I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the coming games.
I know George wants me to play Senna for him, so I'm happy to do that anytime, George.
Well, let's roll the first clip and see what happens.
Yeah. So looking at this fight, we're about a couple minutes in. Nothing's really happened so far. Just teams posturing for position. Blue team with 3 picks earlier into the game, but Sign walking into this bush, kind of just jostling for position. Nothing really happening here. Let's see how this fight gets started.
Ooh, Sign's winning the bush.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Okay, so Sign charging up the Q. There's the knockup on Tristana. Leona ult completely whiffs. Nice Amumu ulti. Tristana jumps out. Let's look at how much damage the carries are getting off here. Notice Fizz getting completely zoned. There's the Shark on Victor. Doesn't do much, just some poke. Samir getting an ulti off, but blue team's tanks are just too tanky. And then the healing orb is big for blue team. A spicy initiate by Samira here. Looks like they trade her for the Draven, and then really just a 3 for 2. Okay, Fizz going back in. Wow, this fight is all over the place. And then looks like, let's see if Morgana can pick Victor. Victor with a nice fadeaway. Oh, Dwayne, what the hell happened that fight?
Oh my gosh! Wow, that was really a game of inches. Let's roll it back and go over it one more time real quick. All right, so right at the beginning, I like the Samira ult. That was not a bad Samira ult. We can move on a little forward here. So as you pointed out the first time, the Leona ult whiffs. We had some really awkward engage here, but the Amumu ult is very powerful. I think he gets 3 here with the Amumu ult. Fantastic, and sets up a lot of space for Tristana in the backline. You can barely see her off camera, just getting a lot of damage down. Same with Draven, same with Victor. Really impressive. But watch what happens when Samira ults. Samira gets her ult off and flashes away, and then goes too deep on the follow-up afterward. I think that's some really sussy Samira play. And then of course, Samira play. And then of course, the blue team cleans it up in the end. Or I'm sorry, the red team cleans it up in the end. And wow, look at this Victor laser. So smooth. The fadeaway as he dodges the binding. That's some good Victor play. Second best Victor I've seen.
Second best Victor I've seen. Wow. This guy's definitely not a very unbiased commentator. We like to see that here. So one thing I think is worth noting is look at how little damage Samira is getting off in these fights due to the character being weak against tanks. So there's the full ulti. The 2 tanks are barely chunked out. And so Samira just not a good tank shredder. And red team really has no option to deal with these 2 mega tanks for blue team. So, I think there's some options for Morgana to build Leandries and Singe to build Demonic, but that's just not going to come out this early in the game. So a little bit of a comp diff that we're seeing early on to the game so far. But Dwayne, let's take a look at clip 2.
Sure, and I just want to note, I really wanted to see that Samira flash forward there while she was ulting. It was very strange to me that she would flash back and just focus the tanks.
That's true. That's true. And end of this clip, there's a nice pick on Victor. So there's the fight at the end of the day. So here's clip 2.
Oh, we shouldn't have shown Victor dying. It makes me sad. All right, so walk me through this fight, Sam.
Yeah, let's look. So blue team jostling for position. There is a Fizz hiding in the bush. So they spot him. Amumu goes in on Fizz. Fizz has to use E at the start of the fight. Sign goes in. Tristana flashes out. There's the Sign completely split off from the rest of the team. Amumu ulti only hits the tanks. There's the Fizz going in. The R completely whiffs. Fizz is not getting a single auto attack off or even ability off this entire fight. And by the time he goes in, he's really just, done for dead. And then look at the Samira ulti, just not able to chew through the tanks. Draven with a huge flash in. Samira, can she get the reset? Oh, Amumu was able to trade it before the Triumph comes out. Really interesting fight. I think what we're seeing here is the Fizz is just not able to get his damage off. Dwayne, let's take a look at what happened again.
Yeah, Fizz is able to land his ult again, and it kind of seems like it's pretty hard to play Fizz this game. But watch the Samira. I can't help but notice the Samira again getting her ult, and what does she do when she ults? Flashes away again. There's the flash up and away out of the fight. Very sussy to me. I think if you're playing Samira, you gotta have that inting energy. You gotta flash into the back line and pop those enemy carries. If you lose the trade when you flash in, you lose. But if you don't flash in, you lose anyway.
Dwayne, that's a good point. A little bit of kind of a hard decision to make, but you're right. The shield bow isn't able to get value for him there, and ultimately causes a lost team fight. And I think what we're seeing here again is just this comp difference of who can deal with the tanks of blue team. Samira certainly can't by herself, and Fizz is not a good tank buster either.
Waiting for Singe to scale, I guess.
Yeah, waiting for Singe to scale. Dwayne, let's take a look at the last team fight.
Yeah, he's scaled now, right?
He's scaled, surely, yeah, absolutely.
It looks like we're levels 18. Singe is still 16, and oh my gosh, Leona goes in, and then immediately walks away. It was just a bait, guys. It was just a bait, and then goes back in. Wow. Leona is honestly dancing around this fight. Samira gets an ult off, but barely hits anybody, and is now focusing the Leona. Just can't shoot that tank, just like you said in the last fight. Wow, that's honestly brutal. Honestly, if you're playing a Samira and you're fighting against a bunch of tanks, there's not much you can do. She dashes in at the end, but the fight's already over by now. Blue team's absolutely cleaning up, and that's the game. Do you want to break that down?
Yeah, so really, if I were to sum it down to two things, two words, it's just comp diff. We see the tanks just are not able to get dealt with by the Samir. Watch the Fizz and look at how much damage, or rather how little damage he's able to get off this fight. See, look, here's the Samira ulti comes out. It actually gets, Samira actually gets 2 ultis off in this fight. There's one, and then she still is unable to deal with Leona. Here's 2. The second ulti finishes. Yeah, really, and Leona's honestly dealing more damage than the Samira is alone. Really no one to deal with that tank there. And then at the bottom of your screen, it's really just the 2 carries of, the 2 other carries of blue team just with the champions of red team a lot faster.
Wow. Well, that game ended pretty cleanly. Do you have any takeaways from that matchup?
I think what we're seeing here is we've got a champion like Samira, who I've seen on ARAM win rates is a high win rate character. But a significant weakness of her is that she's just unable to deal with tanks. So, in addition, the double 80 carry of blue team, as you pointed out, ended up performing very well.
Absolutely. It looks like she got counterpicked. I have to agree. I think if you're going to play Samira, you have to pick her kind of last to make sure that she's not going to get counterpicked by the tanks. But I honestly, my takeaway is don't even play Samira. Kids, listen to me. If you're going out in your customs and you're going to play an 80 carry like Samira, just pick Nyla. All the cool kids are playing Nyla. You'll get into all of the cool clubs. People will worship you on the street. You'll make so many friends. Nyla's the coolest champion in the game. That's all I got to say about that.
Wow. Strong words
Cool.
from Dwayne. Dwayne, I understand something important happened today.
Nope, nothing important happened. But I can say this week, one last shout out before we call it off.
Thank you for joining us.